Hi, it is the Human Operating System time. In this channel, we investigate the what, why, how of ancient Chinese culture and ancient Wing Chun Queen. Today is the 2nd of January, year 2021. Hopefully, start from this year, traditional Chinese martial art start to reform. Or else, as you can see in the current situations in China, traditional Chinese martial art will vanish soon. And actually, in 1930s, the 1930s, almost 100 years ago, the Chinese martial artists at that time have wanting a reform. They want a reform. But sadly that it doesn't happen. And whatever they want to clean up from traditional Chinese martial art in 1930s, today become the mainstream of traditional Chinese martial arts. That's why it never can face the challenge of MMA, as you can see in China. Now, we need to be really careful. We need to speak with evidence and science. For past 100 years in traditional Chinese martial arts, stories are just stories. In past 100 years, more stories were created, more movie was made. And you have majority of so-called traditional Chinese martial art mainstream actually is living within that stories and that movies. Look at Wing Chun today. Every Wing Chun movie comes out, you will have see the celebrations of that movie, and you can see many Wing Chunner go down there, demonstrations, and it looks like whatever in the movie. The hand techniques, the Chi Sao, the wooden dummy. Look at it. Look at that. People mimic the internal force of Tai Chi, look like in the Tai Chi movie. Shaking the body, you have to be song and all those kind of stuff. Look at all those internal stuff, Chi stuff, where people took whatever out from the Chinese philosophy, the Taoist religion or so forth, or Buddhist religion or so forth, or fake law, fairy tales, and make all kinds of stories. Also, the stories of grandmasters. Today you can see that people say, this set is from this ex-grandmaster of mine. This is a secret set. And often you see that in traditional Chinese martial art, you can see that many people claim secret set from the same grandmaster. And yet, none of those what they claim as secret have any common denominator. You see all those are stories, but Chinese live in that stories. It is almost like when somebody is in helpless, hopeless situations and don't know how to get out from it, and one start to live in a fantasy. Today, that fantasy world is crushed. Yet, you look at for example, the Japanese. You look at judoka fight in MMA. How does it perform? Don't those things are traditional from Japan? Look at the jujitsuka. Don't that based on the traditional of Japan? So all these stories of traditional Chinese martial art, Qigong, internal, and all kinds of stuff, all these movies, what does it contribute? Compare with like the Jiu-Jitsu of Japan, the Judo of Japan, and also the document, the Bubishi of Okinawa Karate, or the Book of Firings of Miyamoto Musashi. So, as soon as we live in these movies or stories, fantasy, or whatever, there's no way out. Because there's a dream. Year ago, there are a Chinese director who made movie, and somehow he wrote a few books, and then make a few movies, direct a few movies, and he become what? Expert in Wing Chun. He said Wing Chun is the art for the murderer, the assassins. Wing Chun's power generation is come from the spear. And he was in TV, he was in YouTube, and so forth, because he's a great guy. Well, those are the authority. But where are they now? Can they face Xi Xiaodong? Present what is traditional Chinese martial arts? Of course they can. Because in this past 100 years, speculations, as soon as you dare to speculate, baselessly, as soon as you have followers and fans, that become reality. You become the expert. You become the authority. Well, sure, it is a free world today. Everybody can believe what they want. But your traditional Chinese martial is gone. Your traditional Chinese culture is gone. No longer there. Why? Because when everybody take dream as real, and never heard about dream, never heard about real, what do you have? Can Wing Chun is Tan Bong Fo? For sure today we know it cannot be. Why? How can it cover the range, the angle, and the level of those MMA player friends of us? A hand technique cannot replace the entire functional training of Western sports or today's MMA practice or training. Face it, that's reality. Chi Sao is just Chi Sao. Wouldn't that mean what is the meaning? What is the purpose? Martial arts is about handling of momentum. We like it or not, the entire world is like that. That's a reality. So what is real? After we see all those problems, how to get out from this dream, for Wing Chuners, for people who want to study traditional Chinese martial art, Qigong and internal, it's very simple. We took the common denominator of the ancient Chinese. Anything you want to learn about traditional Chinese martial art, you want to ask the questions. What is this got to do with momentum handling? You just ask that question. What is this got to do with momentum handling? If that thing is not related to momentum handling, forget about martial arts. The Chinese, since Sun Tzu, about 2,000 years ago, is based on momentum handling. 450 years ago, Qigong, when he defeated the Japanese pirate big time, it is momentum handling. So any martial arts, especially us who is doing Wing Chun, practicing Wing Chun, who love Wing Chun, would love to study the culture of Wing Chun, ask the questions. What is this thing got to do with handling momentum? Because martial arts is about handling momentum. Okay? On internal, ask the questions. What is this got to do with handling breathing? Okay? So here on, whoever want to study the real traditional Chinese martial art or real Wing Chun, ask these cool questions when people present you anything. What is this got to do with momentum? What is it got to do with breathing? So for those who like to know the truth of traditional Chinese martial art Wing Chun, ask the question, what is it got to do with momentum handling? For those who always keeping provoke internal power, magical power, whatever, you ask them, what is that got to do with breathing? And you almost can pinpoint things. As soon as there is no training on momentum handling, you know there is not a martial arts. You can go to Western boxing, to Thai boxing, to Jiu-Jitsu, to Judo, to Kyokushin. Look at it. Isn't it even the beginner is trained to handle momentum in a specific way of that particular style? So the first questions, if one wants to study martial arts, traditional Chinese martial art, disregard of what story people say, well, I'm from this grandmaster, that grandmaster, all the story, fine. What is this training? What the training do you teach, do you practice got to do with handling momentum? And how many type of momentum handling do you have in terms of the angle, the range, and the level handling? Okay, so that's reality. Anybody who claim that they know Qi, they know all this magic power of Chinese or ancient, again, disregard what they claim here. Ask them, so how do you train your breathing? Anybody who tell you about internal and they do not be able to tell you about how they train, develop their breathing, you know that it's never internal. Okay, so let's just drop all the martial virtue and all those kind of stuff. Because martial virtue and all those stuff is very advanced, very high, very deep. Let's just look into the level like us, ordinary people, on consumer. As a consumer, you go buy a car, you ask, what is the mileage, the gas mileage? How many years the warranty, right? So just look in the consumer way. What is the momentum handling am I learning here? What is the breathing type am I learning here? What can I achieve? Just ask these two questions. Focus on these two questions like a consumer. And of course, the guy who sells product has to describe what they are selling. You want to buy a computer, you want to buy a car, even you want to buy a clothes. Is this a winter clothes? Is it a summer clothes? Can it be washed? Or it need to be dry wash? What type of temperature do you need to dry? So these 2 points is the focus. If you stick with these 2 points, then you stick with reality. If you stick with story, you willingly to buy in all the story, like make believe and all kind of stuff, sure, you are free for it. But if you want to study the real traditional Chinese culture in martial arts and Wing Chun, ask these 2 questions. And not asking what lineage or what is your grandmaster name or this is a secret set or so forth, so forth. The tuition fee is proportion to how well the teacher can teach you momentum and breathing. It's just like if we go study with Mike Tyson. Why is the tuition fee so, it's much, much higher if you go study with Mike Tyson? Because he knows all about the momentum. He's expert in it. Okay? Not all the story. Not Tyson learn from this grandmaster, that grandmaster, and then you have all the story, how the grandmaster fight this grandmaster, that fight that grandmaster. No. Tyson don't do that. Right? And it's not about, hey, I fight you. I can beat you. Talk with your fist, not talk with your mouth. No. Look at Tyson in the YouTube, how he taught people. YouTube is around. Also, look at Mas Oyama, how he taught people. Look at Gracia, the BJJ Gracia family, the senior Gracia, how he taught people. It's not all this. What is this? Same thing with the breathing. You get to a master, a meditation master, ask them, how do I control that? Now in ancient, for momentum, we know the reliable book is this book from Qigong and the Shaolin Sword Strike book. We know it's reliable for past 450 years. For meditations and breathing part and internal, this is based on the Buddha's teaching, Anapanasati. Everybody can go Google what is Anapanasati. In the ancient Chinese wise, it is the 6 Dharma gate. Not today, you have it in Amazon. And then this essence of Buddhist meditations. Those are the key. And where the 6 healing sound come with these books. So we know in ancient what it is, what is real. Okay? Especially for the so-called Shaolin-based martial arts. You need to follow this thing. As for the Taoist art or whatever, let me share with you. Since the Anapanasati get to China more than 1,500 years ago, the Anapanasati practice has been influencing the Taoist practice. However, today, most Taoists are so internal and all those getting all those secret like religion, they have no idea on this thing. That's a reality. Of course, I wish that we all talk moral, be a nice, good human beings and have high morals. But until we can satisfy this consumer quality, the sell and buy quality, if you want to sell a product, it has to meet the specs. You need to tell people what it is, or else it is selling a snake oil. Unless we get there, we can talk about high moral. We really can. And of course, our goal is high moral. But at least if we satisfy this, we are not cheating. We are honest. Well, nobody is perfect. Okay, no sifu is perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. I see so many real grandmaster, the Zen patriarch. Nobody is perfect, but they are following really seriously to properly present the thing they are teaching. Okay. So if traditional Chinese martial art need to reform, you need to follow this thing and all this stuff. No longer follow this movie and fiction for past 100 years. Will those in China be able to do it? I don't know. But in the West, because we all love to learn, as soon as we follow this, everybody will have a standard which is based on reality. And of course, in China, you are good people. In the West, you also have con men who pretend to be scholar. But in China, you see the situations. Will it change? And in the West, you see the situations. You know that people can be reasoned with this. In China, people might get into all kinds of stuff. It's very complex. But in the West, we are pretty new. So as soon as we know this, then we can create a good foundations. And even maybe hundreds of years later, all this Chinese, ancient Chinese culture is transferred to the West, where China don't have it anymore. There's a possibility. Why? Any reason, any evidence? You look at the Buddhism, how the Buddhism migrate to China, where today you don't find in general there's exists in India. And then in China you see the Chinese, the Zen and many things like the soft roll migrate to Japan or even Korea. Today, if you want to know or you want to get a dress, a Zen monk dress, okay, you need to go to Japan, not China. China doesn't have it anymore. Okay, so this is the evolutions of human. Is those ancient stuff useless? No. Look at the Japanese. They got the Tang Dynasty, 1,000-year-old dynasty, Tang Dynasty culture from China. They went to the Japan. Look at how it was developed. Did the Japanese anti their the ancient stuff like today? You know, did the Japanese anti their traditional stuff like today in China? Oh, traditional Chinese martial art is fake. Traditional Chinese medicine is fake. Did they do that? So why is that whatever you learn from Japanese, the judo, jiu-jitsu, and all the Zen stuff is real stuff? Why is whatever you learn in China is fake stuff? The Chinese call it fake stuff themselves. Well, I can share with you one thing. Because there's too much story made in China. They are not interested in this thing. They're interested in this thing. And what is this for? For themselves, of course. To boot themselves up. And today, if you look at like Xi Xiaodong and their friend and many of Xi Xiaodong friends, you know, the Xi Xiaodong fans, okay, who is digging out the traditional Chinese martial arts, you know, there are some grandmaster in the traditional Chinese martial art. They are not that good anyway. It is the student of this grandmaster keeping booting, laundering the image, writing books about it, and make it like God-like grandmaster. Well, you can watch this type of videos when people found things out in YouTube's. Okay. So if you have people doing that, you cannot blame the Xi Xiaodong or those people who don't like the traditional Chinese martial arts, because people caught things by evidence. So remember momentum and breathing. There's two things. You want to learn martial art, you want to learn Qigong, you ask them these two questions. What is it got to do with this? How is it related to it? How do you develop the momentum and the breathing? That is the criteria. So this is the book. Get it in Amazon. So if you can read this book because it's ancient Chinese and this is difficult to understand, then get my books. This is for the meditation part, the Buddhism parts. This is the internal part, this is the momentum part. So beside transferring the knowledge to the West from this book, I add in scientific verifications. So with this thing, now we add another thing, scientific verifications. We keep it even strict and honest. If you want something to grow, you have to be having a strict quality control. Like you want produce the best computer, the best cars. It is the best because of high quality meaning you have high quality control. This is the base, and we use science as a quality control on top of this thing. So it makes everything secure, and it makes every consumer is not ripped off, and also the manufacturer, they can actually manufacturing and grow. In this environment of story, the real manufacturer might not even make any money, because people have no idea what is true, what is just lies and scam. But under this environment, where you have the evidence and you have the scientific verifications, actually we help the proper manufacturer, proper sifu to grow. Because now people can differentiate between what is real and what is dreaming, what is scam. And only that way you can grow the thing. Without that, you can't. As soon as I dare to claim with you like this. Like it or not, I'm the 5th generations from Red Boat. Like it or not, I am the guy who have the transmissions of the 1850 Shulin Tao Creed. As soon as I dare to make this claim and tell you that you will study and learn secret techniques which is not passed by other people, and then you become my internal student or inner student, and everybody have Baisi with 10,000 euros or 10,000 euros, many people will come Baisi with me. But how can you know? Do I know anything or not? What do you expect? I can tell you all the story here. And for me, that's not going to happen. That's why I don't want to do with the martial arts school, the lineage and whatever and all the stuff. I want to get into the culture. Because you and me here on the same momentum, breathing, based on evidence and based on scientific verifications. That's the reason of these books. I'm 60-something years old already today. I might die tomorrow. But we need to contribute something for everybody. And I really don't know, I really don't want, after I die, somebody make my name here. Okay? To make some money. Or make fame. Or make popularity. So this is to share with you. Think about it clearly. Think about it. Because you are investing your life, time, and money. What are you learning? And of course, those people, always there are people who just want to cheat people, scam people. But most of us here in the world is good, honest people. We might have fictions, we might have disagreement, but most of us are good people. Why can we say that? You look at in the highway. Once a while we might break some traffic rules. But most of the time, you look at the traffic, do we follow the traffic rule? We do, isn't it? Because we know what is danger. We know we don't want to create, cause problem for ourselves and cause problem for others. So remember, momentum, breathing. Ask these 2 questions. Whatever you want to do in martial art, in meditations, is internal, in healing art, in Qigong, ask these two questions when it is needed.